ground, don't disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started, it's the hardest. Talk around, don't disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah,
get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, betcha this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling? Welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, in this art he's king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, non-contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping a track. Have you paying more attention? No listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy. It's the hardest part of the ring. Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great day. And if you are, well, it's about to be ruined by some 1996 ECW. We got ECW, Big Ass, Extreme Bash, 1996. Man, I feel like the biggest dildo just saying that name. These ECW shows, they have some interesting names, but the bash is, the ass is big here on this bash, and it's extreme, you know, so can't sue them for slander, but, yeah, this event, by the way, two-night extravaganza, some may say the most stupendous two-night ECW event to ever occur. But that being said, a lot to get into on this show. If you like find this event on Peacock, basically what it is like the whole thing is like 2.5 hours, I believe, and the first 30 minutes are just highlights of the first night, and then the next 2 hours are roughly the full show. A lot of weird decisions, a lot of weird producing decisions they made on this show, but we'll get into it. But lots happening here, and if this show's known for anything, it's probably known for the final ECW match of Cactus Jack. That's right. We are done with Mick Foley and ECW, and he is off to the Fed to be Mankind. So, big moment there, and they treat it as a big moment, and some good stuff. He has a little match with Mikey Whipwreck that has some fun moments in it, but again, we'll get into it. But as far as what else happens on this event, Raven, the ECW champion, has gout, but he still defends his title twice against Sandman and against Shane Douglas. We got Rey Mysterio and Juventud go at it. We got, what else? Brian Pillman's back. He's all over the place. And where we're at in the timeline. This is right before his Hummer accident. So I believe we're building to a match that never happens, as far as I understand. But, yeah, pretty wacky stuff. A lot of flux in the wrestling industry at this point. It's a very interesting time for wrestling. And we talk about it in the podcast, but there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of people jumping ship from one company to another. Very volatile era in wrestling, so it's very interesting to cover, but we'll get into it. It has all the ECW-ness that you expect from ECW, and we have a good old time talking about it. And I have a good old time talking about it with my boy Nick from the Universal Wrestling Podcast. Returning to the show, always a good time with Nick. You can check him out and his co-host Keith. The Universal Wrestling Podcast. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as YouTube and all that stuff. All their info will be in the description below. They cover the current era. They talk about the scuttlebutt, the major scuttlebutt that's happening in wrestling. Reviews, previews, predictions, Two Boys, One Cup. They do it all on the Universal Wrestling Podcast. Also a part of the Bloodline network of great podcasts, a lot of former guests of the Apron Bump. So I suggest you check out bloodlinenetwork.com for all of your needs. Check out uwpod.com. Check the description. Follow them on all the socials. Follow me on all the socials while you're at it. Apron Bump, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, MySpace. What else we plug in? ECW. You like ECW? Hell, you just love this era of wrestling. You can go to apronbump.com. You can go to the episodes tab and you can filter down to whatever promotion or era you'd like to hear me recap. You can binge away and you can select ECW, and that'll bring you to all of the ECW shows I've covered in chronological order, starting from their very first Extreme Championship Wrestling show in 1994, and I've worked my way up until now. Where are we? April of 96. You can also select Wrestling Wars of the 90s, and that'll take you to all the WWF, WCW, and ECW, covering this all in one timeline to get the entire story. It's amazing. Well, amazing is not the word for it. It's actually a big bag of shit for the most part, but you want to know exactly how I feel about this show. You want to know exactly how I feel about this era. Well, you better hold your britches and stay tuned for the end of this podcast, where the hardest promotion of 1996 battle continues, where we will look at the show and see if anything on this show represents the best or the worst up to this point in 1996. We will grade this show. We'll compare it against what WCW and WWF are doing at this point, and we'll do that. Stick around. It's a good old time. The winner, who by the time we reach the end of 1996, whoever has the most points, I will purchase a championship belt of that company. And so high stakes and medium stakes. How do you guys like your steaks cooked? If you say well done, just turn this shit off and never listen to me again. But that being said, but listen to this one actually. ECW, Big Ass, Extreme Bash, 1996, with myself and Nick from the Universal Wrestling Podcast.
Dude, this fucking was this even considered a pay-per-view?
Hold on. Do you have a stack of physical notes for this show?
Yes.
I love you. I want to make love to you. But yes, this was a show. Thoughts before we get into anything?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't even want to say okay show. I mean, there was a few high points. Obviously, Cactus Jack, obviously Guerrera and Rey Mysterio. That match was really fun to watch. Other than that, man, it was cool. It was a cool farewell for Cactus Jack, and I think he deserved it. It's just, I don't know. They could have done better, but it's ECW. This is what ECW is. A lot of shenanigans, a lot of fanfare, a lot of just stupid shit that really doesn't make sense. But it's enjoyable. It's entertaining, you know. Yeah. But that's ECW. That's what we got here. Just an okay show. High points, Ray, really cool, and it's also cool to see like that then in '96, and then Nitro, and what happened with the cruiserweights. I mean, Guerrera again, Rey Mysterio. That was really cool to see. It's like they're painting a picture. They're getting ready, similar to Cactus Jack. He's getting ready for the big time. So I guess, ECW is ECW. You got to love it for what it is. But the show was just, I don't know, a 3-hour Raw, something like that. Just blah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big transition era for wrestling because this is like right before the NWO. And we're kind of in the middle of like the new generation era. There's a lot of people flipping back and forth between companies, like you said. Cactus Jack, this is his last show. He'll be debuting as Mankind like the next week or something. You got Bam Bam Bigelow just came to ECW. You got Brian Pillman's here, but he's about to leave. But there's a whole thing with that.
New Jack.
Yeah, New Jack. How familiar are you with this era of ECW? Did you watch growing up at all? No.
I was 6 at the time and I never went back to watch it. I watch it like for shit like this. But other than that, no. I mean, I know what ECW is. I know it. I got what I, what we, the show that I watched for this podcast. I knew what I was going to get into. So yeah, it's ECW. But no, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I feel like we probably have the same frame of reference because, like you, I never watched it. I think we're like a similar age. So, but I've seen all the documentaries and I've seen a few matches here and there. But now I'm in it, and now I've seen pretty much every show since Extreme Championship Wrestling has started. And there are a lot of things about ECW that are like wearing on me. Like it's like, oh god, another New Jack match, and like every New Jack match is the same. But there's also some, like you said, a lot of high points on this show. And I felt myself, because a lot of times with shows, it's like the last thing you see is like how you feel about the show, no matter how good the rest of the show was. And I did not, the last match did not put a good taste in my mouth. We'll get to it, but
yeah, not even the match before it, like the championship match. Just
I mean,
like you said, we'll get into it, but it's just,
but I mean, overall, like looking back at it, there are some. I think it's a decent show, even though it's So this event, it's a 2-night event, big ass Extreme Bash, which by the way, great name for a wrestling program.
Yep.
But we didn't see the entire 2 nights. They showed highlights of the first night, so like 30 or 40 minutes worth of highlights, and then the entire second night, pretty much. Yeah. What did you think about how they put that together? Because for me, I feel like it made certain, like for example, Ray versus Juventud. They had the same exact match both nights. So by the second match, I was kind of over it. So I feel like that kind of hindered my viewing experience, because I actually went back and watched that match for a second time, just that match in a bubble, and I enjoyed it way more the second time I watched it. So what did you think about how they did it, like highlights and then a full show?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a house show. You go, you test things out, and I feel like that's what they did in New York. That's where the first show was. And then obviously, voila, Philadelphia is the second show. It just, same thing, man. It was something, because I did a ECW review with Mike De Niro, the Wrestling DeLorean, and it's similar to that episode where it was just like 10 minutes of just like, what is this? Like, you're so confused. You don't know what it is. And then,
they didn't like lay it out. They weren't like,
no,
here are some highlights. It was just like Sandman with a cane. And then it's cut to different things. And then it's like, okay, I guess it's a full show now.
Yeah, just odd. But again, they have to put this shit together. It's not live. Yeah, I get the idea. It was before the 2 nights of WrestleMania. So Heyman had that, baby. He was thinking about it.
So you're saying Heyman is the reason that we now have 2 nights of WrestleMania? I'm with it.
Yeah. I just thought it was confusing. Like, did they even need to show it? Like, what was the point? I guess back in '96, you watched both nights. I don't know if night 1 was ever on TV.
I mean, why not just have both nights in full? You know what I mean? Or like do like a 5-minute video package of the first night. Because the way they did it, I felt like I blew my load and then I had to have sex again. So it's like it kind of
there you go.
It was
waiting for that one.
You saw me edging.
Yep.
So I was like kind of fatigued when I went into it. But well, it didn't ruin the show.
Stop bad mouthing the pay-per-view. Come on, bro.
It can suck my asshole.
It's
a no.
What is this?
It's what is this? It's so their first pay-per-view isn't until 1997. So this is just a like a VHS release, I guess.
Nice.
Obviously a live event, but yeah, not a live pay-per-view by any means.
No.
And they would use
calling it a pay-per-view then.
I call it a pay-per-view. It's just, you can call it a PLE if you want.
There you go.
But so they do have a TV show at this point, and generally on their TV show they show highlights of these events. So not only is it a VHS release, but it's also content for their TV show that they have for the next few weeks. So they split it up or whatever. But we'll just glaze over the first night as they did.
Let's do that
on the cock or whatever.
I didn't really. I mean, I only watched 15 minutes of the 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, a lot of stuff repeats, but we'll touch on some things. I do appreciate, because you said you knew what you were getting into with ECW. I do appreciate how it starts and immediately it's just Sandman hitting people with a cane. Just no context. We don't know who's in the match. We don't know what's
No.
going on. At this point, it's kind of been a theme. This is how they generally start their shows.
Yeah.
They put on just a shitty jobber match in the beginning that's not particularly exciting or important. And then they just have Sandman interrupt it and cane everybody. And everybody loves it, though. Sandman's
God.
super over. I mean,
Everything. I mean, just every time he drinks a beer, every time he walks, every time he just anything, any movement, the crowd just eats it up.
right.
That's Sandman. That's what I think of when I think of Sandman. Just like such a lovable character. As much as he's a dipshit that's probably an alcoholic.
Is Sandman from New Jersey?
I don't know.
I was about to say, I think you relate to him. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
You are Sandman.
Yeah.
You are Sandman.
I could be his son.
You know what? Now that you mention it, I could see it.
Yeah.
We'll dive into that later.
Yeah.
But then it just cuts to Joey Styles.
Yes.
He's in the middle of the ring. They're chant. By the way, when Sandman was done caning people, there's huge ECW chants, which is fun. They're really gaining steam as a brand at this point, and then it cuts to a different segment where Joey Styles is in the ring, and they're still chanting ECW. And Joey, he introduces Shane Douglas, who comes out.
Yeah.
He's cutting a promo, not really
Looks
saying
great.
a lot. He's a handsome fella, definitely.
Yeah.
He looks like a wrestler,
Yeah.
whereas not a lot of people on this show do.
Oh, yeah.
But Brian Pillman is in the crowd. They keep cutting to him as well. Brian Pillman, he debuted at the last show, I believe it was, and him and Shane Douglas had some beef. Like, Shane doesn't want him here. He thinks he's just like a spy from WCW, basically. Because Brian Pillman was in WCW. Real Life got fired, but they're kind of doing like a ECW versus WCW thing here. Long story short, Shane goes over to him, who's in the crowd. He's in the first row. Brian apparently has a ticket because they kicked him out at the last show. But Brian Pillman has a ticket, and he's antagonizing Shane Douglas. And Shane's like, hey, you come over here, or I'm going to come over there. And Shane, charges at him. And then Brian Pillman throws his cousin and his cousin's baby in front of him to block him. And then he, throws him out of the way. And then he hits Shane. And then they scuffle. And then it's 15 minutes of a pull apart, which is whatever. I mean, I don't know, did this get you hype for a Shane Douglas Brian Pillman match?
You know what? The promos leading up to it, like you said, it's kind of like ECW where it's just all over the place. Yeah. But when you're first watching it, you're like, oh shit, I know this guy. This guy's good. He, like you said, he was in WCW before. And now he actually got fired. He's here. And it's just you kind of want to believe that it's real, as in it's, the whole thing with Scott Hall, and he appears and it's holy shit, is he still with WWE? That's kind of how I feel with this situation. You knew what you were going to get with this, and it was just, you know what it is too. They say that Heyman's a genius, and maybe this is what he was doing. He was working the kinks out before becoming what he is now. But it's just everything was just thrown together, man. Again, I know the names, I know the story, I know the backstory. This segment was just oh, good shit, but what the hell just happened,
And to even add to the confusion, that's only half the segment, because it bleeds into the next one. Yeah. So Shane Douglas, they drag Shane to the back to keep him away from Brian Pillman. And then all of a sudden, Bill Alfonso comes out, who has nothing to do with this. He's blowing his whistle. He's like, calm down, Shane. Yeah. Did you like his whistle?
It's just every fucking second.
He had a match at the last show, and every time he would throw a strike, he would blow his whistle. He'd it's great. It's good stuff, pal. But so Todd Gordon comes out, who at this point, he's the manager of Taz. So Bill Alfonso comes out and gets in the face of Todd Gordon, which Todd Gordon is the kayfabe owner of ECW.
Yep.
And he's out there because he was helping with the pull apart between Pillman and Douglas. Bill Alfonso comes out. He's like, he's screaming something. I can't really understand what he's saying. But they don't like each other. There's a power struggle there. It's a whole thing. Yeah. But they start going at it. Todd Gordon gives Bill Alfonso a shitty German suplex, and they start going at it. Hands start getting thrown. Yeah. Taz comes out to make the save, and Then out comes Bam Bam Bigelow. As everybody just keeps coming out. Who him and Taz are in a feud right now. Bam Bam just debuted. And Bam Bam makes the save, I guess, because Taz and Alfonso were ganging up on Todd. And then Taz hits him in the head with a chair, but has no effect because he is a big tattooed boy. And Taz and Bill Alfonso run away. So, yeah, a lot going on here, like you said.
Yeah,
but,
just a lot, man. Just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
But then it cuts to the middle.
Another cut.
And like it cuts to the middle part of a Jericho versus Cactus Jack match. And it just cuts to Cactus giving Jericho a pile driver for a 2 counts. And then he goes to give Jericho a power bomb. But Jericho counters into a German suplex with a bridge for the win. So Chris Jericho, I believe this isn't his first match, I don't believe, but he's still fresh in ECW. So really big for him to beat a legend. Even at this point, he's a legend, Cactus Jack. So I don't know if Jericho's in ECW for too long, but you were talking about the cruiserweight division earlier, and this is like a really setting the stage for that indirectly. But what do you think of little babyface Jericho here?
Yeah, I mean, he's entertaining. He looks great too. He looks like $1 million. He sells great. This is another thing too. All these guys are just, getting ready for the big league. So they're just trying to do whatever they can to prove to Vince, to Eric, whoever, that they are, the next big thing. And that's what Jericho's doing right now. You can see it. He's just carving out his, whatever he's going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. And that's what I guess you do with ECW. I mean, you can go back to Stone Cold. He was getting ready for the promos, drinking the beers, getting,
That's a good point.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, Attitude Era Austin. He was building that, growing that character. And I think that's what Jericho was doing. Just, putting the puzzle pieces together before going to the big leagues. Great. Like I said, looks like $1 million, talks like $1 million. Every move he performed, even if it was the first night or the second night, just with ease. I mean, he's ready. You could tell.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did, like, Eddie did the same thing. He came in ECW for a bit, and then now he's in WCW at this point.
Yeah.
Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, they all did the same thing. So Chris Jericho's kind of following that. Oh, I'm sorry, Redacted. Chris Redacted did the same thing. Now I have that soundbite to use just for whenever.
Good. Use it.
And then it cuts to the middle of a Mikey Whipwreck versus Taz. Like I said, it glazes over the first night. Probably a little too long.
It over, baby.
Than it should have, but I'll put my glaze all over it.
Yeah.
Taz just kills Mikey Whipwreck. Big suplex, drops him on his head. Taz mission, taps out. But Taz won't release it because he's a piece of shit, I guess. Bam Bam makes the save, continuing this feud. Alfonso comes in to try to stop Bam Bam, and Bam goes after Alfonso. He picks him up, holds him over his head. And this allows Taz to clip him in the knee and locks the Taz mission onto Bam Bam Bigelow. And then the entire locker room, the jobbers come out to try to stop this, to try to get him off of Bam Bam. But Alfonso's there. Alfonso has a chair. He's beating away these jobbers with the chair. And then, so further in that, and I appreciate that. But then it cuts.
Another cut.
The end of, I guess it was a Dudley Boys versus Headhunter. The Headhunters. The Dudley's represented by Bubba. Bubba and dances with
Bubba's
Dudley.
A big boy now. He a big boy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Bubba's super over too.
Yeah.
Everybody loves
love
Bubba. The stuttering stuff, the stuttering power bomb is his finisher. I don't know if you caught that, but
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. And Big
Dick
Dick gets in there
a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Wardlow is the new Bubba Ray Dudley. That's what everybody says.
Connecting the dots. Right here.
Connecting them.
On the apron bump.
That's what we do here. We connect Bubbas.
Bubba.
So the Headhunters, they're double teaming on Bubba, and then
what a great name too.
What?
Headhunters.
Oh yeah.
What the hell does that even mean?
They hunt heads, man.
Yeah, okay.
But what happens here? Bubba, I guess, rolls up one of the Headhunters to win. So the Dudleys win. It's the Headhunters' first loss in ECW, which you would feel like that would be a big moment, but it's just like a 5-second little clip here. And Damian Kane, another cut, who's the manager of the headhunters, who's, by the way, I don't know if you heard Joey Styles. He's the godfather of pro wrestling.
There you go.
This Damian Kane. I'm sure we all know that. Calls out the Gangstas, team of Mustafa and New Jack. But previously, in the last show, New Jack was locked up in a Atlanta prison. So Mustafa comes out and is like, oh, Joey's like, oh, Mustafa's going to take him on his own. And then out comes New Jack. Yep. New Jack's out of prison, hits the headhunters with chairs, and this kind of sets up the main event of night 2. But I put a note here. What the hell is going on? Because it feels like everything's just bleeding right into the other. It's very jarring when watching this, especially when you don't understand like that they're doing highlights of the first night.
Yeah, it just seemed like they were getting ready for Philadelphia, and they did, the house show in New York, and trying things out and seeing what would work. I mean, a lot of guys that you named we're going to see in night 2. So yeah, I just think it was, let's test it out. Let's get some money. Let's go to New York. Let's sell some tickets, and then we'll go home and do this. I was going to say pay-per-view again, but this
might as well be.
Some
people are paying to view it in the arena. Yeah. So,
yep. So just feeling out process, I feel like.
So Rey Mysterio cuts to Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera feeling each other out. 2 out of 3 falls match, which we will see in night 2, but a few highlights from their night 1 version. And
the one.
Not a lot of things that we don't see in the second night, but it's a little tease, I guess.
Yeah, let's wait for the second match.
And then it cuts again. I guess it's Raven, the ECW champion, versus Sandman. Cuts right to Raven just beating up Sandman in the head with a steel chair. Shirtless Sandman fights back. They fight on the outside a little bit. There's chairs. I mean, it's ECW. You know where you're getting.
Yeah, this sounds really familiar.
There's cat fights. Kimona Wanalea, who's with Raven, is fighting Missy Hyatt, who's with Sandman. Cactus Jack's here. Stevie Richards is in. Super Kick. Blue Meanie's here.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Stevie's face gets shoved into Meanie's grundle. And then all of this, the dust settles.
And
then now it's just Sandman versus Raven. Sandman walks to the back and grabs a piece of barricade, throws it in the ring, and they fight in the ring a little bit. And then eventually Raven is able to DDT Sandman on the barricade and gets the win. So Raven fighting with a little injury here, a little foot injury. The gout is what they say he has.
Is that what it was?
I don't know if that's actually what he had, but he's definitely has an injury of some sort.
That shit can be tough,
What is gout? I
don't know. I think if you don't drink enough water, something happens.
It
could be painful. My former coworker had it. He would drink cranberry juice or something.
What an asshole.
Yeah, he was an asshole. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding.
It didn't say. It's like arthritis. It's like I guess an acute version of arthritis. It
That's
just
comes and goes. Yeah.
Pain, swelling, redness, tenderness. Man.
Yep.
What a time. So Raven's fighting with gout, and he will continue to have gout in the main one of the last matches of night 2.
And then gonorrhea.
And then okay. Speaking of gonorrhea.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything. But now we're at night 2.
Night 2, yes.
Now like the full show starts.
Yep.
We got more gangstas. So we got this promo from New Jack. I didn't note everything he said just because I was so focused on watching him and listening to him.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting about this? So it was confusing why they chose to censor certain things, but not other things. Like Shane Douglas called somebody a piece of shit. Yeah. And they bleeped out shit.
Yeah.
But my God, New Jack said no short of 100 F-bombs in this promo.
He even said the R word too.
Yeah. It's New Jack and
it was on Peacock.
Yeah. So it's like
they must have missed that one. Yeah.
It's quite a lot to miss.
It was just nuts. But like you said, I was glued to my TV. It was just a New Jack promo, and that's what you get out of him, Doesn't have to be politically correct. No. It's just who he is. That's
you don't want it to be. I mean, if it was politically correct, I mean, it wouldn't be good probably from New
we
Jack.
wouldn't be talking about it.
I mean, a fan wouldn't storm the ring to try to rape him if he wasn't New Jack. But that's what happens here. Some lady storms the ring and jumps on him, and security has to pull her off, and everybody's, because she's a rather attractive lass, which is kind of out of place for ECW. But New Jack is like, bring her back, for sex or whatever. But then New Jack grabs the mic. He reminisces about his time in prison. He says, man, I was sitting in there. I could be beating somebody's fucking ass if I wasn't in jail. Now I'm looking at the motherfucking TV. It's a quote. Basically saying he's watching, like, the last show is his boy Mustafa is getting beat up, and I guess he was able to watch it and been in jail. So it was good for him, I guess. Great promo. I should clip it and put it somewhere because it is just art. And
which is what you want to say, as an ECW guy. F Vince, F Eric, WCW. This is where the big boys play. It's just, that's what you want. Extreme promo out of New Jack on an ECW paper. God damn it. Said it again. On an ECW show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to your point, because in ECW at this point, there's a lot of storylines that revolve around WCW and WWF. You have like, oh, you're going to WWF? Well, you get out of here. And then there's people like coming from WCW. New Jack's like, I don't care who's where. This is ECW. Like you said, this is where the big motherfuckers play, or whatever you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, good
real
motherfuckers. New Jack. And Damian Kane, the godfather of pro wrestling, as Joey Styles repeatedly says, the manager of the Headhunters. He comes out and he's like, hey, gangsters, why don't you let me manage you? And New Jack's like, nah. And then New Jack's like, I want a 3-way with us versus you guys versus who else? Oh, because the gangsters were scheduled to face Sandman and Scorpio in the main event. And he's like, why don't you join and make it a 3-way? And then that's what the main event is. So setting up the main event, which is some good stuff, pal. But now we get, not really a proper match even. We got JT Smith versus Axel Rotten. So the Italian stallion, JT Smith. Are you familiar at all with either of these fellas?
JT Smith. Isn't he, what's his face?
Probably.
I don't know.
No,
I'm not.
I want to hear your guess.
I have my effing notes and now I lost it. I don't even think I watched this match. The JT Smith?
If you blinked, you would have missed it.
Yeah.
But
give it to me. What do you got?
These guys were partners for a little bit. Miscommunication. Now they don't like each other. Simple backstory, but JT Smith, his whole thing is how he's like a purebred Italian, and eventually the full-blooded Italians starts
there you go.
Surrounding
That's what
him.
I was thinking.
Which we get a little nugget actually in a later match that I'll bring up. But it cuts to JT's entrance, and there's actually a cut match because it shows JT coming out, and then it cuts, and it's just him beating on Axel in the middle of the ring, and then JT ends up winning with a low blow and a roll up with his feet on the ropes. So that dastardly JT Smith gets the win here, but I guess you missed this one.
Yeah, I did.
Well, go back and watch it. It's worth your time. 3.5 stars at least. For sure.
That's what you gave it?
No, it was not even a match. It was probably like 5 seconds. But speaking of the full-blooded Italians, we get a little appearance from Little Guido here.
Yes, that's who I was thinking of.
But he's going by the name Damian Stone. So it's Damian Stone and El Puerto Ricano versus the Bad Crew, the team of Dog and Rose. So, it made me laugh in the beginning because Damien and El Puerto, they come out. The Bad Crew makes their entrance. El Puerto Ricano goes for a suicide dive onto both of them, but they just get out of the way, and they don't even bother like beating up on them. They just continue to go into the ring and fight Damien. So the match, I mean, the people involved in this match are not the story here, because Brian Pillman comes out. Yeah. He has a football player with him, like a Boatswain. Are you familiar? Harry Boatswain.
He was a big dude.
Let me.
I think he was wearing. Was he wearing an Eagles jersey? Something.
He's an Eagles player.
Oh, he is.
What's his first name? Eagles, NFL, Boatswain. Harry Boatswain. There we
Harry.
go. Not a
He's a
big
big
Harry
boy.
Boatswain guy. Yeah, he's a big guy.
No. Never heard of him.
So for whatever reason, Pillman is with Boatswain. I guess he's like his bodyguard of some sort.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. That's what it looked like.
And they also got like some agents with him. So he's got like a little, Brian Pillman's got like an entourage around him.
Yeah.
He gets in there, Pillman does. He has a cane. And he beats everybody up with his cane. So I guess the match is over. And grabs the mic, calls out Joey Styles. Joey comes to the ring. And Pillman cuts a promo. He's kind of saying nothing. He's just kind of being Brian Pillman.
He's like mumbling too.
I think, he's not well. He's not well.
No.
Shane Douglas comes out. We get kind of the same promo that he cut in the first night.
Yeah.
And he's trying to like solidify that it's ECW versus WCW, but it's not. Pillman runs away. Big ECW chants.
Yep.
Shane Douglas rips his shirt off because he's so pissed, and then he grabs the mic. He's like, "Yeah, fuck you, Hogan. That was easy."
Yeah.
And
but it doesn't really like rip. It's kind of like still like hanging. It's just
I mean, it was close enough though, right?
Yeah.
I
guess.
The big Pillman is a pussy chants from the ECW crowd. So Shane Douglas is getting the people behind him. So I guess it's working to some extent, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. What'd you think of this in comparison to their first encounter on the first night? It felt kind of similar.
I think the first night just made a little more sense than this. You know?
Yeah. It
just seemed like, again, they're putting shit together. Does it stick? Okay, this makes sense. You got two big names here. You bring in Joey Styles, kind of like, the mediator there. And it just, I don't know. I don't want to say it fell flat, but it didn't get me like, I wasn't intrigued. I wasn't ready for the next, part of the storyline.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I don't actually think they end up having a match, because this is when Brian Pillman crashes his Hummer and then gets like put into a coma. He fucks up his leg. So this is like, it's like pretty soon after this, I think. So this all kind of leads to nothing, which makes it even better, right?
I did like the entourage. I thought that was cool. For him to be in the ring and have guys in there, like kind of like, not protecting him, but his, posse. I thought that showed a little, cocky persona.
It had potential. I do like when Pillman, he ran away. He like jumped over the barricade and Boatswain caught him. And he just like ran with him like on his back. Basically, it was hilarious, the visual. But well, Damian Stone though, and if nothing else, got a little Guido, little Nunzio in this, so it wasn't all for naught. But we get another match that's kind of a highlight cut match. We get the ECW tag team titles are on the line. We got the Eliminators, the champions, versus the team of Bubba Ray Dudley and Hack Myers. I mean, my only note here was the Dudleys are super over, and there wasn't a lot to this. They just kind of cut to a few key moments in here, like in the beginning when the Eliminators, they attack the other Dudleys that were ringside. And then Big Dick gets in there and he canes both of the Eliminators with his cane, snaps it in half. And then it cuts to the middle of the match where Bubba's going for his stuttering powerbomb. Perry Saturn of the Eliminators, he counters it. And then the Eliminators hit the total elimination onto Hack Myers for the win. So the Eliminators retain their titles. But I mean, it felt like a match that could have had potential if it was, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it sucked. Maybe that's why they cut it. But I don't know what you think of this.
Yeah, I mean, what you said about Bubba, he's over, man. I think the whole Dudley family, and you'll see that going in the next year, they just keep growing, man. Fandom is just it's just out the window. It's just that's ECW. That's what it's all about. Like I said, fan interaction. That's what the Dudley boys, that's what the Dudley family bring to ECW. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just seemed like, again, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if they really had an idea, but let's get some names out there and let's, get Bubba over or something like that. I don't know what it was. Maybe they did cut it. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be that short, but it just seemed like something was missing.
Maybe a African-American gentleman to get the tables for him.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps. Who I believe he debuts at the next show. Devon does.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but it's soon, if not. But what'd you think of the Eliminators? I know you didn't really get a huge snapshot of them here, but
no.
Are you familiar with them at all? John Kronos and Perry Saturn?
Oh, Perry Saturn, absolutely. Yeah.
They're a great tag team.
Very,
very innovative. Yeah.
Perry's just, again, one of those guys. He's just trying to, do what he needs to do to get out of here. He looked great too. He really did. They had chemistry though. Do you know anything? Were they tagging for a while?
I don't know how long at this point they've been tagging, but they had to have been tagging for a while. Because like you said, they have great chemistry. Their double team moves. And they would go on to tag for a while, basically until Perry left for WCW, I think.
For Moppy?
Yeah, exactly. Things maybe went downhill for old Perry, but this is arguably the peak Perry Saturn of his career with John Kronos as his partner. So, but how many Dudleys can you name?
Yeah, Bubba, Dick. I guess Devon, right? We can consider Spike. But he wasn't called Spike then.
I think it was Little Spike, I believe.
Little Spike, yeah.
Yeah. It's LSD.
Is there like Grandpa?
Maybe.
Or something? I think so, yeah.
At this point, that has not been introduced, if that is a thing. But there's a Chubby Dudley, who was ringside. You got Dances with Dudley, who was in the first match. You got Sign Guy Dudley. And I think that's it. I'm probably missing some, but...
Yeah, there's a shit ton of... I guess when they get into the later years, there's just... an entourage.
I'm telling you, man, it's something I always look forward to when I turn on these ECW shows. So they're doing something right.
You don't know what you're going to get. That's why it's fun to watch.
There's always going to be a new Dudley popping up. But this next match, which I guess is like the first like legitimate match that we've covered so far. We got half of the AEW Rampage commentary team going at it here. We got Taz versus Chris Jericho. Hoo-wee. So Chris Jericho, like I said, new to ECW.
Yeah.
But the crowd's chanting Lionheart, so they're obviously familiar with his stuff in like Mexico, Japan, and stuff. So a indie darling in the old days, Chris Jericho was. So Taz, they're still building up Taz as like a dominant monster. He's been squashing people left and right. And this feels like his first like legitimate back and forth match that he's had since his repackage. But what do you think of this little deal here?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, they're building to this and they don't want to show weakness from either Jericho or Taz. So you put them together and it just was a great match. I mean, you could see why they move on to, the bigger companies. It's just, it was, after just the 30 minutes of the first night, and then you got New Jack and you got the tag teams and you got things that just don't make any sense. This helped. This is one of the highlights of night
Breath of
2.
fresh air.
Just a good match, like just a not a great match, not a WrestleMania crazy, 5-star match. It was just a good match, and they're just, again, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to be repetitive. They're just working to the next, step in their career, and I don't want to say it was a banger, but it was an average match that I would, watch any day of the week. I enjoyed it.
I mean, you could argue this is the best match of the entire event, both nights. So, but yeah, I agree. And to your point, you can tell like the stars stand out in this show. You could like tell. I get we have hindsight, but you can tell these guys were destined for good things. But Jericho, he's getting all his offense in, all the classic Jericho stuff. The springboard drop kicks and hits the lion salt. He counters a top rope back suplex, lands on his feet. So he's getting some impressive stuff in this match. But
he's getting it in.
He's getting the shit in, pal. But Taz eventually grabs hold of him, hits some suplexes, hits a half and half suplex that drops Jericho right on his neck. The ref even calls for the bell. He's like, nah, he can't continue. But then Jericho's like, no, I can continue. And then the ref's like, well, that's all the proof I need. So he rings the bell again to restart the match. And then Taz just suplexes him again. German suplex again, drops him on his head, and then locks in the Taz mission chokehold for the win. So Jericho passes out, but Taz again will not relinquish the hold. And again, the entire locker room comes out to try to pull him off, try to pull this 5'4" dude off of Jericho. And Pillman comes out. I feel like every other segment Pillman's in.
What is this?
he's a loose cannon, Nicholas. I don't know if you heard.
There you go.
Because Pillman and Jericho are friends. They're both from the Heart Dungeon, so they have the little tie there. So
I think Styles mentions that too.
Exactly, yeah. So it's basically putting over the idea that Pillman's here to like save Jericho. But it's funny because Pillman rushes to the ring. Taz sees him. He lets go of Jericho. Taz grabs one of the jobbers, drops him on his head with a German suplex.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman says, "Whoop, never mind," and then he leaves. He's like, "Fuck this." So I do like that, making Taz look like a monster and intimidating type of guy. And then Pillman runs away and then runs into another jobber in the aisleway and gives him a suplex on the concrete for no reason. Yeah. But he's a loose cannon, as we mentioned. And then out comes Shane Douglas. It's just like a revolving door of people coming in and out. Comes in, runs away, Pillman with a chair. And then, this is the part where Pillman runs away through the crowd, actually. But, yeah. So, but Taz and Jericho was the lead up to that. Yes. And good stuff, though. Good stuff from both guys, I thought.
And I feel like Taz is just, he's not as big as he is in the next, couple years. I think he's getting there,
Yeah.
In size, too. Mass, like muscle, too. He still seems like a little guy there.
He's lean,
like, it looks like,
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, Jericho's, like, bigger than him. But a few years later, dude, he's just like the Tasmanian, devil.
No, he was. He was the Tasmaniac, and he had like the long hair. He had the tassels. So now we're like, I don't know how long. I guess he's been Taz for a while now, but still building up that newish character for him.
Yeah.
And then, but after that, we got the second round of the 2 out of 3 falls. We got Rey Mysterio versus Juventud Guerrera. So, like I said, the first time I watched it, I had watched it all in one sitting, or at least like this portion of it. I'd watched the highlights of their first match, and then I watched this match all in one sitting. And the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't know, I couldn't get into it. It was like impressive stuff. Like I could like acknowledge that, but it was for whatever reason, it didn't really grip me. But then I watched it a second time, isolated, and I enjoyed it a whole lot more. I mean, you're getting with these guys, they're the lucha stuff, but with the extreme kind of undertones because they're in ECW and they know like with a crowd that they're wrestling for. So I really enjoy this match. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think again, this is a match maybe if hindsight's 2020, you know who these two are, but going back and watching this, it wasn't hard to get into, but it's just like, where's the action? I mean, the action was in the ring, obviously, and they were doing incredible moves. And it was really, I don't know. I don't want to say like boring, but it didn't grab my attention. Maybe when they went outside and did all that, we'll get to that. I don't want to get there, but yeah, I think again, they're just working, they're getting ready for the next step in their career. A great match.
I thought it was interesting, like to your point. I think maybe the reason it was if maybe you felt it was kind of boring in the beginning, like the first half of it, at least they were doing a lot of power moves. Like Ray was throwing out power bombs on Hoovy, and Juventud was like doing like military presses and stuff like that. So that you weren't getting like all the classic lucha stuff that they're known for. So bit of a weird, maybe they're just changing it up from the first night, I guess, because you don't want to have the same thing both nights. So I guess that makes sense.
Also, they're still, I don't want to say practicing, but they are in the ring together trying to, I guess, build to something, but they're not veterans right now, so it's going to look like it's not what we see nowadays, That made any sense. Please just stop.
Well, to me, this match kind of felt like just a bunch of moves. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like, maybe there was an underlying story to it, but Actually, I don't even know if I mentioned Juventud won their first night match. So Ray's out to try to avenge that loss. 2 out of 3 falls once again. And in the beginning, there's some springboards, some Maranas, but Juventud is able to win the first fall with a dragon suplex with a bridge. And then, but Ray fights back, hits a power bomb, hits a lion salt for a 2 count, hits a doctor bomb for the fall. So again, I don't know, is that his finisher at this point, Rey Mysterio? It's very jarring to see Rey Mysterio throwing out power bombs and stuff like that.
I was going to say, yeah.
So we're knotted up at 1-1. So next fall wins. Juventud's throwing out some pretty impressive moves. I love the military press into the fall away slam, which looked really impressive. And then they fight in the crowd a little bit. They like fight through the back door into the parking lot. Juventud gives Ray a power bomb onto a hood of a car and then leaps off the hood, and Ray leaps off the hood and Hurricanrana's Guerrera. Yeah. So fun little like spot there with like I don't know whose car that was, but Ray in the ring or outside of the ring. Ray throws a chair at Juventud, and then the chair just wraps around his head. So they're being pretty stiff. Like I said, they know they're in ECW, so they're adding the extreme elements to their lucha stuff. So I like that. Yeah. Juventud goes for a splash mountain powerbomb off the second rope inside the ring, but Ray counters into a Hurricanrana for the win. So Ray gets the win here. Yeah. Avenges his loss from the previous night. And then one thing I did like about this is towards the end of the match, the crowd was chanting, "We want tables." But I don't think a table spot was planned. So after the pinfall, Ray just brought Juventud out of the ring and powerbombed him through a table. And the crowd loved it. The crowd ate it up.
Give them what they want.
ECW chants. I mean, yeah, I think it was a win at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I said boring. It just... At the end of this show, I think it's up there with the one of the best matches of the night. It was just really interesting. And again, hindsight is 2020. Going back and watching this, you're watching 2 legends go at it. Maybe they are, practicing their moves, getting ready for the next step in their career. But an ECW match, and that's what we got.
They always throw out like a lucha match in this era, so. It's always fun. You don't want to just be watching chairs and kendo sticks the entire show. So but we get some of that in this next match. We got old Cactus Jack versus Mikey Whipwreck, and this is the final match for Cactus Jack in ECW, going off to greener pastures after this as Mankind. But Jack and Mikey have a storied history. They were tag team partners, and then now they're enemies. Jack has been a heel. He's been like the big time, I'm going to WWE type of guy, but he kind of threw that out the window in this match because he knew this is his last match. So he's like, let's have a proper match with Mikey Whipwreck. The crowd knew it was his last match. Very pro Cactus. He even got a standing ovation both before the match and after the match. So, and Jack, Mick Foley, by God, he's wrestling this match like it's his last match ever.
Seriously.
Some of the bumps he's taken, I don't know if you noticed that. I was
thinking the same thing, yeah.
What kind of stuck out to you in this?
Yeah, I think that right there. Yeah, it just seemed like, dude, you're going to the WWF, like calm it down. But it was actually a really good brawl. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was, I think it was more about the moment here,
For sure.
It wasn't an amazing match, but at the end, we'll get to that. What he says and what he does. Just a brawl. I mean, that's what you expect out of Cactus Jack. Again, I think the point there or here is, he's going to the WWF. That's the moment.
Yeah, and it's because Shane Douglas went to the WWF recently before this and it didn't pan out for him. So maybe, because obviously he couldn't predict the success that he would have. So maybe he's like, well, maybe it might not work out for me in WWF. This could be my last real, significant match. And
that's a good point.
All the bumps he's done, the classic ones that he's taken his entire career, like the elbow off the second rope to the concrete floor. He's doing like he would be like on the apron, and then he'd get knocked off the apron and go like back and neck first into the steel barricade.
Yeah.
A
lot of outside action.
He even does like a Asai senton, like not a moonsault off the second rope to the outside, but he just like throws his body just with reckless abandon. I mean, this is just the peak Cactus Jack, like bullshittery here. Chair shots to the head. I mean, there's one point where Mikey just hits him like 5 times in a row in the head, unprotected. Mikey, we get some spots where Mikey has Cactus in the crowd, and he springboards from the ring into the crowd. So Mikey's showing out as well as his Cactus. Cactus is able to hit a pile driver on Mikey for 2. Then he hits a double arm DDT for 2. So Mikey's showing his resilience here. But ultimately, Cactus is able to hit a pile driver onto Mikey, onto a chair for the win. So, yeah, it seemed like Cactus was reverting to his old self, reverting to like the death match Cactus Jack in this match. So,
giving the fans one more, hoorah.
To me, Matt, this match it felt kind of plotting at certain points. Like it wasn't particularly exciting. It was just like gnarly to watch, but it was fine for what it was.
Exactly. It was a good old fashioned brawl, and that's what you got out of it.
Yeah, and like I said, the crowd, they give Cactus a standing ovation after the match as well. He raises Mikey's hand. So they got some respect there, I guess. And then Mick Foley, he cuts a promo. He puts over the ECW locker room, says that they actually give a damn as opposed to, WCW. And shouts out Hack Myers and Sabu and the Eliminators. Says, and then Cactus is like, if this company can live without Terry Funk, it can live without Cactus Jack. And to be honest, ECW goes to bigger heights without him. Not because he's not there, but they do survive without him. And then he calls out Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie, or I guess they're his buddies. And
the Heartbreak Kid, they call him.
Of course. And then they dance, and then Cactus dances his way out of there.
Yeah. That was his final wish.
Isn't that how you would want to go out?
Yep.
Strutting with Blue Meanie?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It really, really was a great moment. And I'm glad I was able to, review this and talk about it. Because it just, right there, you just know Foley is ready. And he was. And what was really cool, too, is the sign guy, his sign. Did you catch that?
I did not.
It said, keep Uncle Vince away from Dewey. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so far so good.
Yeah.
I guess, allegedly.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, we always talk about it. Wrestling is about one thing. It's about the moments. That's what we got here. This is a moment that we'll remember, for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if this show is known for anything, it's known for Cactus Jack's last match. So, yeah, pretty cool moment, like you said.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we got out of this fucking show.
You didn't like the Bruise Brothers?
Jesus Christ. Pitbulls were cool.
Do you know who the Bruise Brothers are? It's a team that we've covered together.
Ron and Don.
Yeah, buddy. The Blue Brothers from SummerSlam 95 that we covered.
Oh, shit. Yes. What a great pay-per-view.
So me and you are kind of chronologically.
Yeah, we can say that.
We're covering the entire career of the Blue Brothers, the Harris brothers here. So
let's cut that and use that for a clip.
No, I don't think so.
Chronologic.
What chronologicing?
No, chronological.
No, that's not the word I'm looking for.
Oh.
Chrono.
I don't know if that's a word, dude. Chronologicing?
Like cataloging, maybe?
Cataloging.
Cataloging?
I've never heard that. I don't know.
I'm having a stroke. But the Pitbulls are here. Which, of course, the team of Pitbull number 1 and Pitbull number 2. With Francine, of course.
Yes. She's a smoke show.
I'd take her for a nice seafood dinner.
Yeah.
And
Jesus, you're married. Come on.
it's just dinner, Nick. It's just dinner. So we got the Bruise Brothers here versus the Pitbulls.
Yeah.
The Bruise Brothers are a part of Raven's flock, I guess, at this point. And the Pitbulls are aligned with Tommy Dreamer. So this is kind of a branch off of the Tommy Dreamer Raven feud that's going on right now. But Tommy's shoulder is separated at this point, so he's not wrestling on the card. But this match is another one that's cut. It's probably for the best.
Too many cuts. It's like I'm watching Raw.
Dude.
With that, what's his face? Dunn, that does all the cuts.
Kevin Dunn. Yeah.
Kevin Dunn, yeah. It was just hard to watch as, watching it on TV. Maybe it was cooler there, but just so hard to follow. So many cuts.
Well, it just seemed like a lot of mindless fighting in the crowd. So I'm not mad that it was cut, personally.
Yeah.
Although there was a crazy super bomb from the Pitbulls to the Blue. It's a power bomb off the second rope, but they damn near threw one of the Harris brothers all the way across the ring. Very impressive looking. But Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie, otherwise known as the Fabulous Ones.
Yeah, we see them a lot.
They're all over the show, pal.
Yeah.
They're also aligned with Raven and the Bruise Brothers, so they come in to help the Bruisers. But Francine gets in there to try to stop them. Stevie gives Francine a super kick right to the chops.
Yeah.
And Tommy Dreamer comes out, has a fake arm for some reason. I guess he's like trying to feign that he has an injury, but he is injured because he takes off his fake arm and he's still like holding his arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is, but he has a fake arm to hit him with.
Yep.
And I guess the match just gets thrown out. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was like a plastic sling or something. Something you don't see often.
Not a lot of plastic slings in wrestling.
Yeah. What's up?
I said not a lot of plastic slings in wrestling. That's for sure.
No. Well, that's what you get with ECW.
I don't know. Did this segment do anything for you?
No, I think just that super power bomb. I mean, those are the little gems you get with ECW. Jesus, ECW. It's just
contagious.
Yeah, it's just chronological.
Okay, fuck off.
But those are the. It's not a great match, but you get like I said, those gems in the match, and it's like, okay, cool. Next.
Well, next. You asked for next. You know what you get next.
What do we get?
Big Titan.
Oh my god.
Versus Sabu. Who is? Oh yeah. Do you have any idea who Big Titan is?
Yeah, it's Rick.
What?
Rick.
Rick who?
Rick. Booger.
Rick
something.
Boogs.
Boog. No, not Rick Boogs.
Wait, are you being for real though?
I think that's his name. Yeah, he's the fake.
Yeah.
Damn it, Razor Ramon.
Wow. Yeah, Rick Bogner. Wow, you actually knew his fucking name. That's impressive.
Dude, I told you. I took my notes.
Look at this guy doing his homework.
Me. I'm still trying to get over my cold, buddy, but I'm there.
Me too. So Big Titan, which I guess I don't know, is Titan a reference to WWE or is that just his name? I don't know. But yeah, like you said, he goes on to be the fake Razor later in the year. And that's about all he's ever done, other than this match with Sabu. But
yeah, this was just okay.
Big Titan, he reminded me of Lex Luger, like aesthetically. This is the way he looked.
Yeah.
Kind of a more athletic Lex Luger. I didn't hate Big Titan here, even though the match wasn't anything special. But
yeah, but this is not what you come to see as an ECW fan,
Lucky for us, more cuts. So we didn't see the entire match. We got a cuts. They like do the intros. They scuffle a little bit in the beginning, and then it cuts to Sabu is laid out on a table bridge in between the ring and the barricade. Titan goes to plancha over the top rope, but Sabu moves, so Titan goes through the table. In the ring, Sabu hits a Frankensteiner, and but Titan fights back, goes for a spine buster, but Sabu counters into a DDT on a chair, which looked pretty nasty. And then does his little Arabian face buster for the win. So Sabu gets the win here over Big Titan, and Titan gets some "Don't Come Back" chants. That was fun. Did this one tickle your pickle there, Nick?
Nah, man, this was just another match that was not, I don't know, it's just too much. You know, they tried to put so much on the show. Again, you want to get the big names. I get it, Sabu, but just didn't feel ECW to me. It just felt like, okay, let's try and put this guy over and, you know, let's get on with the next match. You know what? Fuck it. We'll cut it.
You're saying Big Titan doesn't feel like ECW?
Yeah, this match didn't feel like ECW.
Oh, I beg to differ, but I guess we'll move on to the ECW World Title match.
Yeah,
we got the champion Raven, of course, accompanied by Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, and Kimona Wanalea versus Shane Douglas. So Shane Douglas getting a title shot here, and Raven, like we mentioned, still has gout. So he's like literally coming to the ring on crutches, about to defend his title, and cuts a little promo in the beginning. Stevie Richards is like, "Look, Raven, you can't wrestle tonight." And then Raven's like, "You know what? You're probably right. The crutches probably signify that I shouldn't be wrestling, so I'm not going to wrestle." And then Shane Douglas is like, "Fuck you," and then hits him anyways. And then the bell rings. So I guess he is wrestling. So maybe Raven shouldn't have come to the ring if he didn't want to wrestle, but that's to each their own.
Yeah, and you could really see it. He was nursing it.
And then, I mean,
what are you going to do? He's the champ, you know?
Exactly. Wait, are we going to give Big Titan the title shot?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to do something. But he got, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors here. You have like Stevie and Meanie getting involved.
Yeah, a lot of shortcuts.
A lot of shortcuts. A lot of,
I think for that reason, you know.
But I don't know. What'd you think of this match? I think I liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think I understood why there was a lot of shortcuts. Raven is injured. You can tell. Again, we brought it up earlier. Shane Douglas looks like $1 million. Raven, as much as he, you know, seemed like he was in pain, he put up for a champ, you know, and that's what you want out of your champion. Again, it's just ECW shit happens in this match. You know, that just, what? Why? Who? I don't understand. But yeah, I'm with you. It was a decent match. I think I was a little confused on it, you know, not being, not going on last. But I guess maybe Raven had somewhere to go or something.
He had to go get his foot checked out, maybe.
Yeah, for that gout.
I mean, you got Kimona Wanalea out there. I would want to get out of there quick too, you know?
Oh, yes, and that whole sequence too.
We talking about the spanking?
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
She loved it. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, ECW. The crowd was eating it up. She was loving it. She got back up and, you know, basically asking for more. Yeah, that's what you get. That's ECW. And that's the time too. You know, it's different time right now. 2023 compared to 96 in South Philadelphia at an ECW, you know, show. It's just, I don't know. It was fun. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, I felt invested in this match more so than most matches that are on this card. And, like, especially towards the end, I mean, there's some good false finishes and stuff. And Shane Douglas is the babyface here, which feels a little awkward. I feel like he's just a natural heel because, like, Douglas he's like doing dives to the outside, but they're not very good. Like, he almost like trips on the top rope.
Characteristics too, you know. Yeah,
exactly. Douglas hits a DDT onto Raven onto a chair. But Kimona gets in to make the save, and it's the spot that you mentioned where Shane Douglas puts her over his knee and spanks her. But Kimona likes it. So she asks him to do it again, and Shane just kisses her and pie faces her. You woman, get out of here.
Throws her down.
Good times, just like the good old days. Raven hits a low blow, taking advantage of this distraction. There's a ref bump in here for whatever reason. I don't know why that's necessary in ECW.
I think, again, it's just the shortcuts, you know, to help out Raven.
But it's ECW. Like, there's no rules, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know. Stevie's in, Meanie's in. Blue Meanie goes for a moonsault, but it
They're
misses.
back.
They never leave. Shane takes them both out with belly to bellies. Hits Raven with a belly to belly, but there's no ref. So in come the Bruise Brothers. Double big boot onto Shane Douglas. But Shane fights back, hits a stun gun in the corner, hits some chair shots in the Bruise Brothers. But Raven is back, hits the even flow DDT onto the chair, gets the win somehow, fighting through the gout. Raven gets the win. What a hero. Cody's torn pec? Fuck off. It's all about gout. It's the gout match for Raven.
Yeah.
So Raven gets the win. Like there were some moments towards the end where it seemed like Shane might win. So I was like, okay, I get it. I like the drama. There's some sense of drama in this match, which is pretty much absent from anything else on this show. Yeah. So.
And Styles does a really good job trying to sell the main event. Well, I mean, I guess the title match.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
You can tell.
Because there's a whole underlying story too of so Shane Douglas, Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer it's like a pact, I guess. Yeah. But they're like there's misunderstandings. Like Shane's like, hey, I'm gonna win the title, guys, but I'll also protect you. And then there's like Tommy's like, but I want the title. And Sandman's like, but I want the title. So it's like they're working together, but they also have their own kind of motivations, I guess. But that's kind of, it like breaks down at the end because like the Bruise Brothers continue to beat on Shane Douglas. And then Dreamer comes out, Sandman comes out, Kane's for everybody. And then the last thing you see in this is Shane is like sitting in the corner as Sandman and Tommy Dreamer are going at bickering back and forth. Also, there's a spot where I think his Sandman wraps a chair around Raven's leg, his gout leg, and he's like gonna stomp on it to break his leg. But then Tommy's like, no, I want to do it. And then Sandman's like, no, I want to do it. And then as they're fighting, Shane Douglas sneaks through the back door and comes off the top rope and hits a splash onto the chair that is wrapped around Raven's leg. So I guess riding him off for a while, I would assume. Yeah. So little tension there, but I guess like building to something, I guess.
Some decent storyline, you know? Decent storytelling, excuse me.
I do like it. Like it. But you know what I did not like?
Give it to me.
The main event.
Jesus.
We got a 3-way tag team elimination match.
Sounds like an ECW original.
If that doesn't, the names in this will. It is Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio versus the Gangstas versus the Headhunters. So the Headhunters come out first. Scorpio and Sandman come out. And these two teams start going at it before the Gangstas even come out, which is like, why would you do that? But I guess they don't like each other, so that's why. But Scorpio, for whatever reason, he starts beating on Damian Kane, who was the manager. I feel like Damian Kane feels like he's a bigger deal than he actually is, like for real, because he's no-selling everything. Scorpio is hitting him with a Singapore cane, and Damian Kane is not registering anything. He just wants to grab the cane and hit Scorpio. It's like, this is why he never became a big deal, I think. But
that's the reason.
I mean, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, but makes sense.
There's a cat fight breaking out. I mean, because who's out there? Missy Hyatt's out there with Sandman. You got Lady Alexandra out there with the Headhunters. It's just a bunch of nonsense. But I don't know. Am I wrong? What do you think about this?
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, it's just an ECW original. I mean, it's a triangle match. Just odd, man. Just, I guess the ideas, like of course, Heyman, the evil genius. I think he's making these things up, and it I don't want to say it was enjoyable, but it was. I mean, I was watching. I mean, I wasn't enjoying it like the Mysterio and Guerrero match, but I don't want to say my eyes were glued, but I was, I was in it. Maybe because there was so much going on, like you said, there were so many people out there. I mean, each group had an entourage. So maybe that's why I was intrigued, but the match wasn't amazing. I mean, it had some good moments. Just an ECW original,
What moment stuck out to you in this match?
the 450 splash.
From Scorpio, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
who else
he's
is it?
if you're saying it's anyone that's the next big star in this match, I think it's him.
Yeah, I mean,
What did you
Sandman has
think?
the
What was your?
charisma.
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
no, I was saying, like, as far as a star, I mean, Sandman definitely has the charisma, or at least it seems like it, judging by the reaction he gets.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, and it's an elimination match. So, like you said, Scorpio hits the 450 on one of the headhunters, eliminates him. But they the headhunters stick around and keep fighting. So again, it's like a lot of mindless brawling. This match, I can't say I really cared about a lot of what was going on.
No.
Even I do appreciate how they built to this with like the promo in the beginning and all that stuff. But ultimately, there's no titles on the line. What are the stakes?
exactly.
Don't really care. But it was chaos. They're probably playing to the live crowd more than anything.
Yeah, I think you brought up the point there. I think if it's anyone, maybe it's Sandman, but it's in Philadelphia. He's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
They're at their arena. His leg drop was pretty cool too.
Dude, Sandman is like low key a great athlete.
Yep,
At
he
least
really
at this
is.
point he is.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if he did it in this match, but he does this thing where he like has a Singapore cane in his hand and he leaps over the top rope and hits the guy as he's coming down with it. I think he might have done that like in the opening, maybe. But yeah, Sandman's great, but otherwise, I mean, the Headhunters, they lost their match the first night, and they're the first eliminated here, so they're pretty much dead in the water as far as I'm concerned. The Gangstas, like New Jack, I loved his promo, but man, their matches, it's just like, here's a chair, gush. It's just chairs and cookie sheets, and like I said, maybe for the live crowd, they loved it, but me watching it on a television, you can go eat my ass with this match, but
yeah, it was tough. It was tough to watch, and again, that's why I brought up maybe this shouldn't have been the main event. But yeah, blah. That's what it is. At the end of the day, this was not great, but Sandman had a couple good moments. Scorpio had a couple good moments, and I think that's really what that was the reason why it was the main event, because these guys were over. Well, Sandman was. I mean, Scorpio, the fans like his movesets, likes his promos, but again, blah.
yeah. And I guess just to tie a bow on this. So like we said, Scorpio eliminates the Headhunters with a 450. The Headhunters continue to beat on Sandman. They brawl to the back, so Sandman's out of commission. So this leaves the Gangstas to 2-on-1 against Scorpio. They do this like brainbuster drop kick combo, which is pretty fun. Maybe the only wrestling match they did in this match. But I think Scorpio hits a power slam and a splash. Well, no, the Gangstas win this. See, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know who won.
Yeah.
So but the Gangstas win. One of them hits a power slam.
They do.
I think it's Mustafa hits a power slam. New Jack hits a splash. So the Gangstas win. What does that mean? Hell, I don't know. New Jack will probably be in prison by the next show again. But,
yeah, seriously.
I think that's pretty much. I mean, any other thoughts on this one?
No, please. This was just, again, high spots, the leg drop, the 450, Sandman being Sandman. That's it. That's what it was. And
It's ECW, right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've been saying that all episode. This is what you get out of an ECW show, and you like it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've said that before too. It's like when you turn on an ECW show in this era, you're like not confused. Like, is this ECW? No, it's ECW. It's consistent. These ECW shows, like, there's not like great ones, but there's not like there's a few terrible ones. But I feel like this one. Yeah. I don't know. What would you if you had to grade this from S to F? What would you grade Big Ass Extreme Bash 1996?
Why S to F? What is S?
S is the top. Have you ever done like a tier list?
No, I watch you do it.
Well, S is the best. F is the worst.
And what's in between? Is it just
A, B, C, D, E, F?
Oh, you're saying? I thought you said S.
Yeah, S, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Or not G, F.
Can I just do 1 out of 10, man?
Nope. S to F.
I don't know, dude. I would say
S being like the best show ever.
Yeah.
F being the drizzling shits.
Yeah. I would say a D plus.
I think that's fair.
And the plus is for Mick Foley. And everything else was blah.
Yeah.
Or Cactus Jack. Can't say his name yet. God damn it.
Nope. Yeah, I might throw like a C minus at it just because I think, like I said, like watching, if you watch this whole thing, like all 2 nights in one sitting, I think it's worse than if you were to watch the first night in one sitting and then the second night. So I think when you like go back and see like what we watched, it is better than it feels like. But after like I said, the main event being the last thing you see, like I know when I watched this, I felt like drained. I was like, God, I'm so annoyed. But there was a lot of good stuff, the Cactus Jack moment and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think again, this is ECW, a good balance of wrestling, shenanigans, and brawling. I think I don't want to say missed the boat. I mean, I guess the moment is maybe, again, hindsight's 2020. The moment and the big moment for this show was obviously Cactus Jack. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of I mean, we keep saying it. This is ECW. Maybe it doesn't have to make sense, but people are going to get their spots in. They're going to get their promos in, and it's going to be, an ECW show. Like it or not, it's going to be extreme. It's going to have some ups. It's going to have some downs. But again, I can't not say this over and over again. This is Cactus Jack, man. This is Mick Foley. This is who he is now, a Hall of Famer. And this is just the beginning. And it was really cool to see this, see his promo. Again, maybe that match wasn't great, but the moment is Cactus Jack leaving for the WWF.
I think Big Titan had his moment.
Jesus.
Personally, I'm a big Titan guy.
Yeah.
But I guess, preferences in wrestling, they aren't universal, but you know what is?
Boom, baby.
You know what is? The Universal Wrestling Podcast. Once again, Nick, thank you for taking the time to check out this show. Come on and discuss it. Where can everybody find you and Keith and the rest of it and the whole Universal Wrestling Pod, the UW Pod universe?
There you go. Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at the UW Pod, Instagram at UW Podcast. We do have a fancy website, uwpod.com, and we are associated with the Bloodline Entertainment Network. Go check them out. They're on YouTube. They're on Instagram. We have a fancy website for that too. A lot of great content pumping out of there. Sports, wrestling, entertainment. It's a great network. Come check us out. But most importantly, go check out your boy Kyle from the apron bump. Damn it, I screwed it up. Kyle,
wow, you almost had it. You fumbled it at the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Now I'm not even going to release this.
Yeah. Cheers to you, buddy. Thanks for having me back on.
Big kisses all around.
There you go.
There we go. Maybe some little kisses for you. Once again, thank you to Nick of the Universal Wrestling Podcast for joining me on this big ass Extreme Bash. Wouldn't have anyone else to join me for 2 nights of that. Follow the UW Pod on Twitter, Instagram. Listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Watch on YouTube. And do all the same things for me while you're at it. Give the video a like if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a comment. Rate the podcast, review it, do all that stuff. It really helps out. But before we go, you know what time it is. Hit it. WCW, ECW, WWF. Who's the hardest promotion? Eric or Vince or Paulie? I think we can agree, though, it's mostly shit. Okie dokie. So, the hardest promotion of 1996 battle continues. If you're unfamiliar with this is your first time tuning in for this portion. Basically, what this is if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, I'm sharing my screen. You'll be able to follow the entire journey here, but I will describe it for those in audio land. So basically, we look at the show, we grade it from a scale of S to F. S being the highest, F being the lowest. And we take that all into account, but we also take a look and see if this show gave us the best or the worst of 1996 up to this point. Best matches, best show, best wrestlers, best storylines, all that stuff, and we'll get into it. But first things first, I'm the realist. We have to grade this event, big ass Extreme Bash. So, my first instinct is to give it a C because ECW, as we kind of talked about in the episode, it's very consistent, but it's also not great. It's also not terrible for the most part. Big Apple Blizzard Blast was pretty bad. So you can see it has an F, and so is just another. You know what? Actually, ECW might be terrible at this point. But I thought this show was pretty solid, actually. I thought the pacing was weird, but I think the content overall was fine. I don't think it's B territory, but I think a C. I think a C is fair in this case. So we'll give this bad boy a C, which gives it 3 points. So now the question is, because one of the criteria for this entire race between these companies is who has the best average grade of pay-per-view. So we'll take a look at this tab here. And as we can see, WWF still has the best average grade of B, whereas WCW and ECW both have an average grade of D. So WWF still in the lead here. And that brings us to our overall scoreboard here. So best overall average grade, WWF, so they get 6 points for that. Best pay-per-view. As of right now, WrestleMania 12 has that spot. And I don't think this show was better than that. So WWF still has that. That's 2 points for them. Worst pay-per-view. This definitely was not the worst pay-per-view of this year so far. Not great, but definitely not the worst. You know, it was the worst. WCW Super Brawl, 1996. So that's negative 1 point for WCW. In ring. So this is kind of just a general, like, which company has like the best in ring, like on average, I guess, overall. Right now I'm saying WWF because I got Shawn and Brett at the top. They got Diesel and Taker doing good stuff. But ECW, man, they look at Hoovy and Ray. Great stuff. I think Shane Douglas is really good. I guess that's it, huh? Well, weren't there other good matches on this show? Like the Eliminators are there, but they haven't really shown what they're capable of yet. So we're not taking into account, you know, future things, right? So I think I might still keep it WWF. It's definitely not WCW, that's for sure. Yeah. ECW is good. I think it's close, but I think WWF still has it. You know, Owen Hart, you got all that stuff over there. Best match right now, we're tracking Shawn Michaels versus, by the way, best overall in ring gives WWF 4 points. Best match right now, we are tracking Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12 as the best match of the year so far. I don't think any match on this show is better than that. So WWF still has that, and that's 2 points for them. Worst match of the year, Hogan versus Giant at Super Brawl 1996. I guess, yeah. Because like I've said this before, you got to take into account like the scale of the match as well, right? Because you could be like, well, fucking, you know, Pit Bulls versus the Bruise Brothers was worse than that. I don't even know if it was, but that's also just, it's a throwaway match in the middle of the show. They barely showed it, so not a huge impact on the show. But Hogan versus Giant was a main event of a pay-per-view. So I think Hogan Giant still has that. So that's negative 1 point for WCW. Once again, best roster overall. I think WCW still... And we're, like I said, we're about to enter a period where there's going to be a lot of flip-flopping, so this could change. But right now, I think WCW with Hogan and Macho Man and Flair, and then you got like the Cruiserweights and like Benoit, Eddie, Booker T, you got the Public Enemy just went over. Like, you got a lot of varying kind of characters over there and a lot of star power, especially with Hogan and Macho Man. I mean, those two alone kind of put it over the top of anything WWF and ECW were doing. But the question is, do we take into account like work rate into this? Because Hogan obviously isn't giving you the work rate. I guess it's both, right? we're taking both into account. I think WCW still has this. So that's 4 points for them. Wrestler of the Year, Shawn Michaels. I don't think this show changed that at all. I don't even know who would be close. I guess Cactus Jack, you could argue, but maybe by the end of the year. Who knows? But right now, I think it's still Shawn Michaels. So WWF has 2 points for that. Worst Wrestler of the Year, Hulk Hogan. Is there anyone on this show that was worse? New Jack, potentially. But his promos are awesome. So for that reason, and that reason only, I think Hogan. But yeah, we're going to keep it Hogan. So that's negative 1 point for WCW. Out of ring. So we're looking at gimmicks, characters, promos, storylines. Best overall out of ring stuff. Right now I have WWF. This show, what did we have on this show? We got, more, Raven's the champion, and then you got Dreamer, Sandman, and Shane Douglas. Kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a contrived storyline, so I don't think that's necessarily that great. And not a lot else, honestly, storyline-wise. I guess you got Brian Pillman's there, but that's, I don't know. WWF still has this. I mean, you have Diesel still there. He's doing really awesome stuff. Taker's there. You got Shawn just won the championship from Brett. Goldust is there. Yeah, WWF, I think, is the most complete out of the ring with storylines and all that stuff. So WWF gets 4 points for that. Best character storyline. Right now we're checking Goldust as the best character. Yeah. Again, I think, yeah, better than anything on the CCW show we just covered. So Goldust has that. So WWF gets 2 points. Worst character, Dungeon of Doom. I've said this before. I don't see that changing, but yeah, nothing was super terrible. Like I said, ECW is kind of down the middle a lot of times. So WCW has that negative 1 point. And with that, I think, again, nothing changed, I don't think. So WWF sweeping as of right now. They got 22 points, and WCW and ECW both with 0. But again, this year is a crazy one, so things will change for sure. But with that, I think that about does it. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you all. Big old smooch. Big ass smooches for everybody. I'm hard.
Yeah.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get started.